is CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Naja Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories, and we begin with breaking news this afternoon. A man is accused of a disturbing crime in Hollywood. Police say 36-year-old Antonio Paez held a woman in captivity at gunpoint for 6 days. Officials say it happened between December 22nd and 27th. They say he raped her on 5 occasions. She was able to escape and call 911. He is now charged with false imprisonment and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. New details just hours after a deadly stabbing on a trolley. Police say a man is now facing charges in the attack. CBS News Miami's Peter Dinch is near the scene with more.
Miami police tell us this all stemmed from a fight the two men were having as they were trying to get off a trolley here at 29th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Police say it was a particularly vicious attack. Now, 46-year-old Lamont Collins is charged with second-degree murder with a weapon. Police say his address comes back to the Camillus house. And the Miami-Dade Homeless Trust tells us that he had been registered as being homeless. A witness provided cell phone video to us showing the suspect wearing all black running away from the scene moments after the attack, holding a knife.
This wasn't a case of self-defense or that he was trying to defend himself. He stabbed him numerous times, and he knew what he was going for because he stabbed him in the neck. It's crazy over an argument that this would happen, but that's why we tell the public, if you get into a confrontation, into an argument with somebody, always think that you don't know what that other person's mentality is and what they're capable of doing.
Police tell us they're still trying to determine why Lamont Collins, the suspect, was so angry. They say they did have surveillance tape from inside the trolley. At this point, it's not clear where the victim was from. We'll have much more on this story coming up at 5. In Miami, Peter Dench, CBS News Miami.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And taking a live look outside, what a gorgeous shot. The warm weather continues throughout South Florida. Next Weather meteorologist Shane Hinton is here, and sounds like it sticks around for several days.
Oh, several. I mean, it feels like it's going on forever and ever. And I guess that we could have worse weather conditions, especially when you're seeing how cold it is for other parts of the country. But our mild conditions continue for tonight. And then as we head throughout the rest of the weekend into the weekend, that humidity sticks around, and we might even trend even a little bit warmer for our temperatures, along with seeing a stray shower chance. That would be a nice change of pace for us. Switch some things up. You can see kind of the state of Florida is wedged in between two areas of high pressure. That's keeping the state mostly quiet and also pretty warm. 78 in Miami and in Key West, and looking closer to the mid-80s for my friends in Orlando. Tonight, we drop down into the upper 60s to lower 70s once again. This has been the weather story for us for the past several days. This evening, we're not going to be as concerned with fog as we have been for the first half of this week. The ingredients just aren't present for us to see that, so it should be a fairly quiet start for you tomorrow. In regard to your hourly forecast, you'll notice we'll start in the lower 70s by around 8 o'clock, and then as we make our way to the peak heating of the afternoon, I think we'll once again return to the lower 80s for most of us, but a couple of folks could maybe stall out in the upper 70s. You can see the forecast in Fort Lauderdale calling for 79 with similar conditions up in Pompano Beach. Mid-70s, though, still for Key West. As we take a look at your high temperatures over the next several days, not a lot of changes here. It looks kind of like a boring forecast if we're just being blunt about it. Normal high is 77. We're trending about 5 degrees above that and maybe even warmer for parts of the weekend and into the beginning of next week, as it doesn't look like we have any relief from the heat and the humidity in store for us. Now let's talk about those rainfall chances. I do still think we're going to be trending dry or even mostly dry for the next 7 days. However, we do have some isolated 10% stray shower chances that enter over the weekend and then as we make our way through the middle of next week. But what does it mean whenever we're talking about 10%? Just take a look at this. The next weather rain tracker looking very quiet for tonight and into the first half of tomorrow. Through the afternoon tomorrow, I see it staying pretty quiet as well. That easterly flow could eventually pull up enough moisture as we make our way closer to the weekend. Friday, that's why we're keeping it dry there in the forecast. Look at this on Saturday morning, though. Some of the higher resolution forecast model runs that we utilize when we're just a couple of days out from events could bring a little bit of stray shower activity for maybe parts of the Keys and inward Miami-Dade County, but But other than that, I think Miami-Dade, Broward, and most of the Keys will be staying dry throughout the next 7 days. Lower 80s across the board over the next 7-day forecast. And in our mornings, we're going to be waking up in the upper 60s to lower 70s. So right now, the only big changes we've got is maybe just small shifts in the wind direction, Naja.
All right, 80s here to stay. Thank you, Shane. Governor Ron DeSantis is at Florida International University in Miami this afternoon. The governor is holding a press conference with the state's emergency management director and insurance regulation commissioner. DeSantis made an announcement for people who have Citizens Home Insurance. Take a listen.
I am here to provide some updates on some of the major issues that are facing Florida, particularly with respect to insurance. I think we all have lived through the last 4 years and seen the cost of everything really go up. Groceries are more expensive than ever. Housing is more expensive than ever. Auto insurance was the #1 inflationary item nationwide in 2024. Average increase was 20%. And then, of course, property insurance has been going up nationwide, but that's been an issue that's roiled the state of Florida, being hurricane prone for many decades. And so I'm pleased to announce that very soon, Citizens Property Insurance will be announcing that 73% of Miami-Dade primary homeowners will receive a premium decrease in 2025.
The announcement comes following this past hurricane season where South Florida saw major damage. A troubleshooting investigation is happening right now in the city of Miami. It happened last night along North Miami Avenue and 13th Street. Police say 3 men were shot after an argument broke out. The victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. New details. We have learned that 2 people were killed in a violent crash in southwest Miami-Dade. It happened last night along Bird Road and southwest 89th Avenue. There was debris scattered everywhere. According to FHP, a black Expedition collided with a car that was trying to make a left turn at southwest 88th Court. Now to the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. President Donald Trump is facing major pushback this afternoon. It's after he announced a new proposal. In it, the U.S. would take over Gaza. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
Amid the devastation in Gaza, Palestinians dismissed President Trump's plan to take over the war-torn territory. This man says we are staying to our last breath. President Trump's comments came during a joint news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying Gaza could be a Riviera of the Middle East.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
President Trump has suggested Egypt and Jordan take in the roughly 2 million Palestinians who would be displaced, a proposal both nations rejected. And there's new opposition to the president's latest proposal.
It's not seen as serious.
Brian Katulis of the Middle East Institute recently returned from the region.
It's not an actual plan to actually resolve these issues. And if anything, it'll make America less relevant in the reshaping of the region that's already going on.
President Trump's national security advisor Mike Waltz said other realistic solutions haven't been offered.
He puts some very bold, fresh, new ideas out on the table. I don't think should be criticized in any way. I think it's going to bring the entire region to come with their own solutions if they don't like Mr. Trump's solutions.
The comments come at a delicate time while negotiations are underway to implement the second phase of the hostage release ceasefire deal with Hamas. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
When asked who would live in the rebuilt Gaza, Trump said he envisions people from all over the world, including Palestinians, living there. When we come back, find out why the U.S. Postal Service is changing course and lifting its temporary ban on inbound packages from China. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Now to the deadly mid-air collision. The NTSB has confirmed that the Black Hawk helicopter was flying 100 feet over the altitude limit. Crews will work to recover pieces of the chopper this weekend. They have recovered the remains of all 67 victims and pulled out more parts of the jet from the water. Investigators are still going over the flight data and voice recorders from both aircrafts. Officials have completed interviews with all 5 of the traffic controllers that were working that night. Now at 4, the U.S. Postal Service says it will resume accepting all inbound mail and packages from China and Hong Kong. It's one day after temporarily suspending that service. The back and forth is linked to a trade fight between the U.S. and China. It has led each country to impose new tariffs on each other. People in Hong Kong don't believe that they should be caught up in the politics between the U.S. and China.
They're imposing the duties and the other thing, like it's a political war, which is affecting the local people, not just in Hong Kong, but in other places too.
President Trump believes that fentanyl gets into the U.S. from China. He says their refusal to stop it is the reason for the 10% tariffs against them. And that is the CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Naja Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a great day.